I'm golf instructor Steve Bishop out here at Rio Salado Golf Course, and today's lesson is going to be about the setup and what we call at Blaisdell Performance Systems, start well. It's very, very important that you want to start well and you want to finish well. So it all starts out with the setup. The first thing is you should have watched my neutral grip and how to perform a neutral grip by now, because that is part of the setup. And I'm going to just assume at this point that you have seen that neutral grip video. So we're going to go ahead and take our normal grip, our natural grip here, neutral grip, excuse me. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set the club face down behind the ball. And I do stay square to the target. Some people like to open it up a little bit because they prefer, they like the idea of shutting the club face as they go. That's fine, either one. I just want you to get basically the club face square to your target the way that you want it to be square. The next thing that we have with this setup and the start well, along with our neutral grip and the club face being square, is now we need to figure about where do we want our feet. Okay, and ideally I adjust my feet so that I feel comfortable getting that ball with my irons just about off of my left ear. Okay, it's right between my left shoulder and my neck, right in here. Okay, that's where I feel most comfortable with my irons. This whole shoulder width apart thing doesn't make sense to me. I like to think like I'm gonna lift something up off the ground. How far apart would my feet be if, the heavier the object, like my driver is going to be a pretty heavy object, so I'm going to get pretty wide. When I get to the smaller clubs, like my pitching wedge, and I'm just going to chip it, well, now I've got my feet really close together, and I'm thinking like maybe 5 pounds that I'm going to pick up off the ground. For my 6-iron here, my 5-iron here, I'm going to think probably, I don't know, maybe in the 70-pound range, something that's not really heavy, but, it is heavy enough that I'm going to have to spread my legs a little bit here. I've got my club square to the target, okay, and I've got the ball positioned about off my left ear. I got my knees locked, okay. We're not worried about how far away from the ball we are just yet, but with our knees locked, you basically want to bend at your waist like you're going to bow to the ball. The way you bow to the ball is by sticking your butt out and sticking your chest in your gut. We want that straight spine angle because we want our shoulders to be able to turn freely and rotate around under our chin. If your chin is down here like this, your left shoulder tends to fit into that chin. We need some space. That's why it's so important to not have that arch, but rather have a fairly straight back. So going back to our setup here, I got my knees locked, okay, still locked. We're going to bow to the ball, sticking our butt out, sticking our chest out, right? And from here, once I get the club about fairly square, I'm just going to keep moving my feet until the club and the ball are perfectly square. Now, I'm just going to simply unlock my knees, and I'm going to kind of shift a little bit back and forth until I feel my balance right over the front of my shoelaces, or right over my arch of my feet, okay? We don't want to be out on our toes. We don't want to be on our heels. We want to be right over the center of the arch of our feet on both feet. And the reason is because when you make a swing, your body is designed to always move into balance. Your equilibrium will always shift towards balance. If you start out of balance, if you start out on your toes, during your swing, you're going to rock back. And then you're going to rock forward again in order to make contact, or you're going to do something funky with your swing. So it's so important that we already set up comfortably in balance before we even make our swing. Otherwise, we're going to be moving all over the place. And we don't want our axis to be moving around all the time. We want it to stay pretty consistent. I do prefer that the hands stay a little bit ahead of the ball at setup. They don't have to. Some people here. I do prefer the hands slightly out in front a little bit. It's kind of your own personal preference, but I do prefer them just a little bit off the left thigh. Even with either the driver or the irons, it's going to be the same. It's just that the club is going to be angled back a little bit more with the irons. With your driver, it's going to be out here, whereas with your irons, it's going to be here. even though my hand position relative to my irons, or to my thigh, is the same. So we're going to start again just from the very top here. First, we set our hands on the club in a neutral position. Club face square to the target. Okay. Now locking my knees, I'm bowing to the ball, sticking my butt out, sticking my gut out. Okay. Adjusting my feet to where I'm balanced. Lock my knees, kind of roll back and forth until I get what feels balanced to me. And take one last look at the target. Go. I hope this setup video, this Start Well video, has been informative to you. Just make sure that you really stay focused and make sure you try to get it perfect, because there's no sense in not getting it perfect, not getting it comfortable. There's no reason not to, because you have all the time you need to do it before you even need to make the shot. Remember, the golf swing only takes about 1.5 to 2 seconds, but to set up to the ball takes as long as you want it to take. So there's no point in making it wrong to start with.